Here's why Kaido and Big Mom are still alive in the story, and they're gonna become the Super Yonkou and terrify the Marines and pirates alike. Stay tuned.
One Piece wa
It was May 28th, 2012, One Piece chapter 668, Pirate Alliance. Luffy made the resolve to defeat Kaido. Exactly 10 years later, on May the 28th, 2022, chapter 1050, titled Honor, Luffy defeated Kaido. We are now at chapter 1060 and there's still no word on Big Mom or Kaido. The last we heard was that they were assumed dead as they drowned in a pit full of magma. But why not keep them dead? Having Big Mom and Kaido be dead and defeated in the story will truly allow and usher in a new age. It truly is the coming of a new pirate age for Luffy and the worst generation, since the old guard were defeated by them. Why? We need them alive. The way they died leaves so much to be desired. There are simply so many questions and payoffs left, so I'm gonna give you 5. Number 1, were you satisfied with Kaido's defeat within one arc? Number 2, what about Kaido's crew? Number 3, what about Big Mom's one-on-one with Luffy? Number 4, what happened to Big Mom's crew and Whole Cake Island? Number 5, 2 Yonkous falling in one arc. Is that too much, and does that scream desperation? So questions 1 and 2 are honestly irrelevant. The reason is because although it may not satisfy you or so many others through Kaido's defeat, we have to remember that we have pretty much satisfied all of his character beats. He actually wanted to die at the hands of Joy Boy. He wanted to fight Joy Boy. He wanted to start a chaotic time in history. We learn about his backstory, as brief as it may be. Honestly, it is what it is. The only thing that we don't fully know or was fully expanded on was what happened at God's Valley. We met his crew and understood his hierarchy. The animal pirates are built on the merits of the strongest will survive. So it's actually perfectly set up for another brute to be the leader. In this case, you'd assume it's going to be King. The animal pirates are chaotic and they're not really super dependent on one person, as we see with Big Mom and her crew. So for those reasons, I think Kaido and his crew have served their purpose for this narrative. But the other questions, well, let's talk about how Big Mom and Kaido can come back. So how will they come back? Well, they're gonna come back as a fusion. Well, kind of. I believe that within the magma chamber in which both of them are burning, their souls fuse and are housed within one body. Now, I know this sounds crazy, but hear me out. I know many of you love Kaido more than Big Mom. I know he's more of a fan favorite, especially between the two. But I truly believe that Kaido's story is done. His crew's fate is not as compelling as Big Mom's. King was our introduction to Lunarians, and their importance is paid off in chapter 1059 with the Seraphins created by the Special Science Group to mimic Lunarian traits to make super killing machines. Queen has the potential for a reunion with Mads, the group that he was in alongside Dr. Vegapunk as well as Judge. Now, this will become important when Vegapunk becomes more prominent in the forefront of the story. Jack and the rest are pretty much fodder, and they just don't have enough star power to make us really care or take the crew seriously. And the only thing we've yet to fully explore is what happened to Kaido at God's Valley. But who else was there at God's Valley? Big Mom, the same Big Mom who gave him his fruit, the same old hag who's been a corresponding Yonkou like him throughout the years, the same woman who used to be on the same crew. What am I getting at is that Big Mom's memories and experiences alone can satisfy our only loose story thread with Kaido. Kaido got everything he wanted. He wanted to start a time, an era of chaos. The end of Wano signaled the final stretch of One Piece, and that truly does begin a chaotic world in which they exist in. Kaido had a great battle in which he was happy as he fought Luffy in Gear 5 and Kaido died. But what if he didn't? What if during the burning of Big Mom and Kaido in that magma pool, Big Mom was able to suck his soul into her body? She took comparatively less damage than Kaido, although enough to KO her, and Kaido was so battered his body and mind were broken, so his soul naturally gravitated to the one person in One Piece that essentially gave him his strength or contributed heavily towards it: Big Mom. If we assume Big Mom was able to withstand the magma because she wasn't as beat up as Kaido, absorbed his soul, and like she did with Mother Caramel, able to take some of his power, if not all of it, that's one scary prospect. The other thing is Big Mom has so much more to give to the story. She has business in Elbaf, business with Luffy, and her territory is completely dependent on her existence. Big Mom should be the centerpiece if these two legacy Yonko do survive. We're gonna have to see how that works, but we will have a Mother of Dragons and a Super Yonko. Also, from a character dynamic point of view, I feel like Kaido's story is finished, but we saw how he's quite the drunk and he's also quite funny. I think that if Kaido's soul was sucked into Big Mom, he's not going to go down so easily. It's going to be like two souls being housed in one body. I think the best way to say this is he's going to be his own entity within Big Mom, similar to Yami Bakura and Marik from Yu-Gi-Oh!, where the two bicker like crazy inside Big Mom's head. That would be hilarious, but more importantly, it would be a feat for Kaido. The fact that he's able to survive death and he doesn't truly get what he's been aching for so long. He doesn't truly die. If anything, he's suffering more because he's with Big Mom. He's with the old hag metaphysically and for God knows how long. Imagine Kaido. Oh mate, if that was me, I would have hoped Luffy disintegrated my body with that punch. But what does this achieve? Having Big Mom and Kaido become a Super Yonko will do the following for the story. It's gonna further Big Mom's story about Elbaf and set up a one-on-one with Luffy. The Super Yonko will naturally be stronger than Big Mom or Kaido alone, so the increase in power will be suitable for when they face a mastered Gear 5 Luffy. The Navy were terrified of the alliance between the Yonko, but having them fused together to become a Super Yonko is even more terrifying and adds an X factor in this chaotic world. The Super Yonko will act as the ultimate obstacle for the new age. Yes, we've had this before, but the worst generation was still not as experienced. Now, the whole landscape of Yonko and what that means has completely changed. So this overcoming of the Super Yonko obstacle will mean so much more. The Super Yonko are the last remnants of the old world who do not want the future generation of pirates to progress. Although technically you can say the notion was addressed and defeated in Wano, we can have it in a more decisive fashion and on a more grander scale and stage for everyone to witness. We will get a lot of comedy gold if we had Big Mom Dragon, I guess, arguing with a little Kaido in her head. That's going to be jokes. It's also going to allow Luffy to get his one-on-one with Big Mom and a rematch with Kaido at the same time. And finally, it will allow Luffy to get a victory decisively without any help and cement him as being the force that he already is, laid out towards the whole world. And for us, we want to see him win without interference or some sort of team effort. Now, although far-fetched as it may be, I feel like it gives a lot to the story of One Piece and people will be pleased. Truth be told, Wano lost a lot of steam by the last portion and maybe this is just a poor man's attempt to redeem it. Maybe. But you can't argue the fusion of Big Mom and Kaido would not make the world of One Piece shiver in fear of the Super Yonko.